Hi, and a very warm welcome to the first edition of On the Limit Media. It's basically a YouTube channel that we've decided to start. Myself and a good friend of mine, Dan, put our heads together, and we just thought, you know, obviously we get a lot of good cars through our hands. We do a lot of decent stuff like track days. We go to the Nürburgring, and we just thought obviously we'd try and make something of it, not for the money side of it, but just to share our experiences with, well, like-minded people. We're both petrol heads. We both kind of like live, eat, sleep, breathe cars, if you like. So we just want to bring a little bit something to you, and obviously see what you guys thought of it. If it works, great. If not, no hard feelings. But we've done a little bit of footage this morning. We originally went up to Bamburgh Castle, which was, well, it was absolutely bollocks, to be honest. It was soaking wet, it was piddling down. Typical, obviously, weather for the northeast. So that was pretty much, well, it was dead in the water. So then we moved on to Lindisfarne, which is Holy Island. Holy Island, obviously, if you're not from the northeast, a very, very popular destination. It's a place we used to go as kids, and we basically thought we would go there and give it a whirl. Again, got there and it was raining too, but we made the most of it. We've got some cracking drone footage, which obviously I hope everybody enjoys as well. The footage is awesome, to be honest. We've got some rolling shots. We're doing a little bit of talking ourselves, and we just want to obviously give you an introduction. So obviously my background and predominantly kind of what I do and where I'm from. My name's Usher, obviously, so first of all, nice to meet everybody. And my journey started off with VWs, the V-dub scene, as you call it. I was into like Mark II Golfs when I first started out. It was something I was big into, and I was into those for years, and it was something I really enjoyed. But I mean, you can only go to so many shows, and it got really boring really quickly, and I found myself wanting more from it. So I had like Mark II Golfs with standard 1.3s into start. Then I ended up with a 18 GTI, a 2 litre 16 valve GTI, fitted ABF engines, 18Ts, and basically went from there. Enjoyed them, but again they were pretty lackluster and they were pretty boring, so I just needed a change. A friend of mine basically rang us and said, listen, Usher, you're missing out on so much. There's so much more to this car crack. And he rocked up in a little Clio, and obviously I started laughing. I says, oh, what's this shitbox racing? Obviously Reynolds to me were, at the time, was scrap. I saw them as poor cars. They would always break down, and that was the whole Reynolds scene back then. That's what I knew of it. So we basically jumped in this little Clio. It was a lovely little spec car. It was one of the first 172s on a 51 reg, and it had basically 8008 tyres. It had a full roll cage, bucket seats, BC coilovers, really well set up. So if you don't know Hardside, by the way, and you're not from the local area, basically Google it. It's a phenomenal route. The B roads are just absolutely fantastic, and it's definitely worth looking at. So we set off away up to Hardside. There was about a group of 5 or 6 cars, and this little Clio, I'm not ashamed to admit it, it basically absolutely blew my mind. It was crazy the way it handled, the way it put its power down, the balance of it. I was just mega blown away by it. So before you know it, I'd gotten rid of the Golf and I jumped into a Clio, a 172. I bought a Cup on a 52 plate. Pretty much a standard car. There wasn't really much to it, and just basically set away modifying it. Obviously same again, bought 808R tyres, changed the fluid. It was RBF 660, set yellow stuff pads at the time, which were good, and I just kind of enjoyed it and started doing track days, and it kind of just steamrolled into something that was much bigger, and I found myself every penny that I earned I was spending on this little car to try and make it competitive. And before you know it, obviously all the lads had kind of followed me, and we all had little Clios and we were doing track days, and it was amazing. So I went through about 7 or 8 years of owning Clios where I couldn't find anything better, and I didn't really want to move away from them. And then when it all changed for me is I basically got an EK9 championship white, pre-facelift on an R-Edge, obviously the famous B16 engine, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. It would out-handle a Clio. The little B16 engine would create the same power as what the Clios would. It looked cool, it was a lot more rarer, and the Honda's kind of spanners, it turned me head a little bit. So the EK9 I used for about a year, same added basic mods, and then started to look at EP3s. I wanted something a little bit easier to live with, something to daily, and got into the EP3s. Again, for me personally, what I can tell you is, I mean, I've owned probably over 20-30 EP3s now, and for the money, kind of sub 5k, I don't think you can buy a better car for track. They're reliable, they handle very well, they sound lovely, obviously, as you know. I know they're a little bit rice, as you say, when you put the exhaust on. They are quite loud, like the car I'm in today. I know this is quite loud, so I'm sorry for that. But yeah, I thought they were awesome. So I went through about 10 EP3s, chopping and changing, buying different cars to get better examples with different mods added. And then the next step, DC5, again, another step up. The DC5 for me is probably one of the best Hondas ever made, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the styling of it. I loved the aggressiveness of it. It was still quite well balanced. Obviously, you get a diff with the DC5, what worked really, really well. I found myself pinching a couple of car lengths out the corners with the diff that they had in. Obviously, the Recaro seats were standard, which for me was great. I never owned nothing like that with Recaros or anything in, so I went through 5 or 10 years of again having the DC5s, and I just thought they were fantastic. And I had one up until recently. I mean, along the way, it wasn't just Clios and DC5s. I chopped and changed to try and find like a sweet spot, the same as probably as many of you have done as well. I had Subaru Type Rs, STIs, imports, red tops, 300 brake, 350 brake. The Subarus were good. For me, they're a bit of a penis extension. I just liked being in it. I thought I looked cool, which at the time I realised I probably looked like a bit of a donut. But I liked them anyway. I went into Evos, which for me, Evos again are a step up from a Subaru. I had 4s, 5s, and my favourite one, I had a dandelion yellow Evo. I think it was a 5 year. It was light damage, and I fixed it, and it was amazing. It was a beautiful car. Should never have sold it. But again, the Evos were exciting. They were great. I used them on track, but I just didn't get the connection with the Evo that I got with the Hondas. I felt the Hondas were very raw. They were a proper driver's car. They're not the fastest thing in the world, Hondas, and if anybody tells you they are, obviously telling you lies. But hanging on to every last rev and getting the most out of the car and working the car hard and actually being able to attack corners, like going to corners flat out, for me was pretty much where I wanted to be. So I've just recently had a DC5 which I bought local. I traded a few Hondas and stuff. I've got a little business, and it was well spec'd. K-Pro ECU, DC manifold, stainless system, good coilovers, good tyres. I think it made about 244 horsepower on a rolling road, which is pretty decent, to be fair. It moved quite well, and I didn't really want to move away from them, but I've always looked at the Hondas, the FD2s, but they were always a little bit out of my price range. They were always a little bit too expensive, and they were kind of out of reach. So I recently got hold of a guy who owned an FD2, and I was a little bit unsure what to do, but he was wanting out, but he was wanting to sell it, and he was basically wanting a cheaper car. So I thought, well, it's perfect. Let's see if I can get out my DC5 and do a little bit of a trade with the lad and give him a chunk of money and jump into the FD2. I bought it. I was a little bit unsure about it. I didn't quite know what to think at first. They were very refined. It felt very soft compared to the DC5. I didn't know whether I felt connected to it enough, like as opposed to what I would in the DC5. But what I can see is that the FD2, which I don't know whether you can tell which I'm in now. I'm sure if you're Honda heads, you might have already worked that out. But the FD2 that I'm in now, for me, is the pinnacle of Hondas. I think it was the last of the Hondas before the change to the FK2, which is the boosted one. For me, this is basically the mother of all Hondas. This is the god of Hondas, if you like. I love everything about it. It's refined. It puts its power down well. It's the best front wheel drive car I've ever driven. It's so well balanced. It doesn't matter how hard you push this car into a corner, you physically can't lose it. As long as you stay on the power in the corners and just keep it thrown, the car just moves so well. It does everything that you want and more. I like the trim in them. I think the trim's fantastic. Obviously the seats are lovely. Gearbox position's perfect. Steering wheel, again, really, really nice position. The clocks, it feels like a fancy car when you get into it. So I thought today, with us just starting the channel off, I thought kind of what better way to kind of contact with people and try and establish a bit of a relationship with followers and viewers, etc., was just to show you our own cars and basically tell you why we've got what we got, and obviously how we got into it. So this is where we're at. This is the FD2. We're going to go to Sunderland Civic Centre shortly, which is a local town or something in the northeast. It's a bit bodge jobbish, it's a bit car parkish, but it's wet today, so it's nice and dry, and we'll give you a walk around of the cars and stuff and see basically what you guys think. At the end of the day, we're here for the people, and we understand that the YouTube channel, obviously it's not going to suit everybody, but we're hoping people can take a bit of an interest in it and reflect and kind of give us a bit of feedback and see if we can make some connections with people. The little business that we run, I mean, we import stuff from Japan as well, so we get all kinds of crazy, unusual stuff in. So I thought I would just use the unusual stuff to basically make some videos, give people reviews of the cars to see what we think of them, the negatives, the positives, and we've got a lot planned. So what you'll find is shortly, Dan is the guy with the M3, which you'll see shortly on the video as well. He's off to the Nürburgring for the second time this year. It might even be the third time. He's going in September. So we're going to get Dan to take obviously the drone and the GoPro across to the ring and give you an insight on the ring, obviously how to sort your travel out, what the ferry's like if you go on the ferry, what the track's like, what kind of times he's putting in, how his car performs, which is obviously be very interesting. And myself, obviously I decided not to go at the ring. I've been once this year and I want to go back, but the other lads that we basically in the group with, they want to do the NC 500, the North Coast 500, which again is very, very popular. It's a big trip up in Scotland at the moment. A lot of people are doing it. The roads, the B roads apparently are absolutely fantastic. I know Top Gear did a review on the NC 500, looked absolutely wicked, but obviously if you're Jeremy Clarkson, everything looks good, doesn't it? So yeah, that's obviously the quick introduction about me, obviously what we do and stuff. And I just kind of hope that we get people into it. So I hope you like what you see. If you do, obviously just leave us a comment, tell us what you want to see. We've got access to a huge array of cars. The track day that we're going to go to, which I haven't mentioned, I'll touch on that. We've got a track day booked at Croft, which is August the 20th. Again, we've got a cracking little group of friends, so the cars on the track day you'll see should cater for everybody. There's something there for everybody. One of the guys has got an absolutely outstanding R8 GT, which is phenomenal. A couple of the lads still run Clio 200s NA. Another couple of lads run Clio 200s with the Megane engines in. One that's run a 250 turbo, 630 injectors, 300 plus horsepower, which goes really well. Obviously Dan's in his M3. I'll be in the FD2 that I'm obviously in today. We've got a guy with an S2000 Honda, a couple of EP3s there, so there's something for everybody. That's what we're looking to bring here. We're not trying to streamline one particular car and ram it down your neck. We're trying to review and show you everything really if we can. That's what we're going to try and achieve from this. So I'll cut off for now, and I'll catch up with you later on, and then you'll see the footage of the cars, and we'll run you through the modifications and what we've done and obviously what we like about the cars.